on, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video. Today I'm going to be installing something that if you have a diesel and you don't have, you definitely need to get one. And that is this right here, a lift pump. If you don't have one of these, you need to get one. I'm going to install one. I've never done it before, but we're about to find out how hard it is. Okay, the first problem I'm currently having is all of my instructions are on my phone, which I'm also using to record. So it's a little annoying to go back and forth over and over again. But first step, the electrical, which is everybody's favorite. They sent me this, they sent an add fuse, so I take that, hook it to my wire here and some rings, hook it to the other end of those wires, and then hook it up to the motor, the battery, I guess. There wasn't a whole lot with this part. I got my wires run. So I got one wire to the positive over here. One wire goes to the negative post. There's another. My fuse tap wire runs into the fuse box. I picked just something that said ignition, so it's hot when the key comes on. And then I just kind of, that's probably not the best place to run the wires, but that's where they're gonna stay for now. And then I just ran the wire down there next to the steering shaft. And they're down here. Let me show you. It's now down here. Now I'm underneath the truck. The wire I just showed you is like right here on the ground. The next step it tells me to do, take off this fuel cooler. So I guess I can have some better access to these fuel lines up here. So it's a 13. I'm just gonna go ahead and take them off. I'm gonna get a slightly better shot here so you can see what I was doing. That's the fuel cooler. There's one bolt that goes right there. One that was over here, and there was one up in the frame right there. I took those out, they came down. Now I'm gonna stop, figure out the next step. Alright, I need to get to the suction line, which is this little, no, focus on the right thing please. This little guy way up here. I gotta get that off. And I think that's going to be the line I'm using for the pump. But I need a disconnect tool. If you've never used a fuel line disconnect tool, this is usually what they look like. A lot of times they're plastic. You can get steel ones. But they aren't all that scary. This one, I don't know what size it is now. Maybe 5/8 I think. But it's this green one up here. And I suggest putting a bucket underneath because I did not. And I got diesel fuel on me now. But this little tooth right here goes inside that. Take your little thing. Oh geez, there it goes again. You take your little lip here, push it up, you kind of into there, and push and pull all at the same time, and it'll disconnect itself. Well, I say disconnect itself, you'll disconnect it. Oh, the other thing about this is step one is fill up your tank. So that's mostly the reason this is leaking right now. If it wasn't 100% completely full, it probably wouldn't leak as bad. Back outside now, the next thing it wants me to do is they sent me this little barb piece here and this fuel hose. So I'm just going to insert it straight into that, and I'll take a little bit of that diesel fuel that I just spilled and kind of coat everything, make it slippery to make it slide in easier. I have a better idea. I have some not old, but some unused Mobil 1. I'm just going to coat it in that and it'll make it a little easier. I got it in. It is tight, and I know it's on purpose because there's some pressure behind this usually. So once I got it started, I like to kind of take something kind of soft, you know, it's metal. I don't want to hurt it. Probably don't want to scar up anything, but I just kind of take this and push real hard on it. You know, I put my weight behind it and get that tube to slide up all the way in there. So there's 3 barbs holding that hose. Next piece they sent me, I can't do that same thing, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of oil on that O-ring right there and slide it into the other side. But this one shouldn't be anywhere near as hard. And just like that, it's in there. Just don't do what I did. They also sent some hose clamps. Put those on before you put these on, because now I gotta just extra stuff unscrew these all the way so I can slide them over the hose. Got those little hose clamps on, these things right here. Let's go back under the truck for the next step. There's not a good place to set you guys, but because it's under the truck, that's not easy. The next step is take my little blue end and hook it back up to the plastic side of the fuel line that was just spilling all the gas out. Fuel, excuse me. and it should kind of click right into spot. The next step they wanted me to do is go ahead and hook up their plastic piece to the other side. But I think I'm going to wait on that because I don't know exactly how this is all going to run when it's said and done. Which I think it's actually, the pump's going to be that way, so I don't think it's the end of the world. I hooked it up now, but I'm just going to wait till we get to that point, and I'll run everything all at once. It's a new day, but I'm just going to pick up where I left off. The very next step is to get in here. Of course, it's dark. You get to the filler neck, which my fuel cap, is like right up there. It seems like we gotta cut this. Ow, there's a bolt right there. Gotta cut this hose right here, and we're gonna install a piece of metal for the return line from the pump. You can use a regular pocket knife, like with a razor blade in it, like this. But if you have one of these PVC cutters, it'll make this way easier. I'm just gonna shove these. Where is it? Where am I? Oh, it's right here. I'm just gonna shove these up on that big rubber hose and cut it in half, and then install this little guy in there. In that time between those last couple clips and this one, I managed to get the instructions printed off. And I wanted to point out, apparently there's two different styles of filler necks. There's this one that has like, not the one I have, but apparently it can look slightly different. And there are two different styles, and it's got two different sets of instructions, but it seems like I have the easy one where I just cut it and put this little metal piece in. Alright, so there it is. I gotta tighten up those hose clamps. It has this little like nipple piece on it right here. And in the instructions it says it wants it pointing out towards the bed. But I don't know if it matters if it's like up or if it's pointed down. I'm gonna leave it up. Thinking maybe. So maybe, if I'm putting fuel in, it won't like drain backwards into the pump or whatever. I don't know if it actually matters, but I'm doing that just because. I ignore my plastic workbench, but this next part's going to be a little bit more difficult because installing these fittings, you're not really supposed to put any kind of side pressure like on this part down here. You really want it to be like, in a vise, like grabbed right here, so you actually can put some torque on it. But I don't have a vise, so we're going to do the best I can and not break it. So we'll put these fittings in and we'll go from there. And my phone overheated in the last clip, so back under the truck now. All I did, put this nipple on, put that nipple on, and then also when we put this bracket on, these little bolts right here just kind of finger tight. I think that's going to help me kind of hold it in place once I get it kind of up into the truck and mounted. This next step I thought was a little weird, but it wants me to do it, so I'm going to do it. I need to take this can of WD-40, plug it in. I haven't done that yet. I'm going to plug it into the harness over here. Once I do that, I'm turning the key on, and I take this WD-40 and spray it into this nipple right here, which is the water separator, and it's supposed to lubricate some kind of gear or something. I forgot exactly what it's called. What does the instructions call it real quick? It is that word, whatever that is. Alright, so the next step is I'm going to take this bracket here and this little rubber spacer. It goes on top of that and it is going to mount to that bolt right there, which is the one that's right in front of the filler neck. So I'm going to unbolt that and then get it mounted up to this bracket. I've run into an issue. This bolt right here came out perfectly fine, and I don't think that's like stripped or anything. I think it's just supposed to be like that. However, trying to get, where'd it go? This, oh, my papers. This rubber piece and this mount into that hole with the bolt. I'm struggling a little bit. The bolt's not long enough, so I think I'm gonna do some magic here and make it work. I'll figure out something and let you know what I did. I got it to work. There may have been better ways to do this. You can kind of see the end of it hanging out right up there. But I took the rubber piece out and just kind of put this bracket and the bolt up to it and just turned it just a little bit just to get it to grab. And I cut a slit on, oh, focus. I cut a slit on the opposite end of that square, just kind of right there, but on the other side. And then once I got it, the bolt is spun in and grabbed just a little bit. I just had to slid it from back here all the way up and just tighten the mess out of that bolt because it was tight going in there. Okay, so the next step is going to be to actually take the pump and mount it to that bracket I just hung up there. So I'm going to go ahead and put these filters on. I'm not going to make them tight or anything. I'm just going to kind of put them on just so they're there. And then I'm going to take the pump, put it to the bracket and kind of align everything, get it just right, and then I'll tighten everything down. So I got the pump mounted using the bracket. Everything's tight, won't go anywhere. Fuel filters are on. Next step is to take all this hose and run it up there. If I read the instructions right, jeez, I can't see anything. If I read the instructions right, I'll take that, go to one section of the pump, I'll take the other end, that went to the steel line, I go to the other section of a pump, and then I'll take the remaining bit of hose that I cut, and I'll go up to that little return line on the filler neck. This is again going to be a little difficult to show you exactly what I've done, kind of as everything has been. But essentially, this right here, that line we split at the very beginning. There's the plastic like piece, that goes back to the fuel tank. There's the metal line, it runs back forward to the motor, and they're split, right there where the two-hose clamps are. So I took this hose, went up and over the fuel tank, kind of over the little body mount right there to the tank, I'm sorry, not to the tank, to the pump. Then I took the steel line, did the same thing, kind of wrapped it around, went over the fuel tank down to the pump over there. If we come over here, you kind of see I got the hoses, all kind of routed through here. And then there's one more hose, that one right there. That's the return, because it wraps around, goes back up to that. Can you see it from here? Oh yeah, that little metal piece right there in the filler neck. There's that little like nipple on the other side. I just kind of slid it over that and used a hose clamp to tighten it down. So then as far as an install, I'm done, I'm pretty sure. The only other thing I need to do, that I'll show you in just a second, is take a line apart from the factory fuel line, at the, way up at the front of the motor, way up there. And then I'm gonna flush everything out, just to be sure there's no like little metal pieces or anything, because sometimes that happens, when they're milling the bits and pieces, and it's just a safe little precaution to be sure there's nothing in there. Don't want any of the metal go into your motor. That would be a not good thing. And the other thing you got to do when you start running these fuel lines is spill diesel fuel all over yourself, because you forgot that there was diesel fuel in the lines you started cutting. Like I said, I'm over here on the passenger side of the truck. You go right in here. This little thing, not that, but that down there, if it would focus on it, that down there is the fuel filter housing. It's so dark, I can't see anything. But that little bend, no, don't focus on my finger, focus on that, thank you. That little bend right there is the inlet hose. And you can kind of see it, the little brass screw. Focus, please. That little brass screw. Try not to focus on my finger. That little brass screw right there. And that other line right next to it are the outlet. So I'm going to disconnect this one with the bend in it, and somehow figure out how to get that to drain out, so it's not going to just spray everywhere. If you take your air inlet pipe out of the light, it's a lot easier to see. But see that piece I was talking about right there? All I did was I unhooked that little spring clamp. I don't know if that's what they're called, but I unhooked the spring clamp, got the hose disconnected, and I couldn't figure out how to get like a long hose to like maybe run all the way down or something, put it in a bucket. So I had this really old bottle of Hot Shots. It's empty. and I'm going to kind of set it down in there best I can, I hope. Please, that's not gonna fit. Give me a second, I'll figure this out. I need my other hand. I got it shoved down there. Hose is inside of it. I'm gonna go, I guess, focus. I guess I'm gonna go turn the key on and see what happens. Took it just a minute to get primed up, but she filled up that bottle. And I'm gonna guess that's good enough. I'm a little scared. I might go a little longer. I'll dump that out into a waste oil bucket or something and do it 2 or 3 more times, and just to be sure. You got everything buttoned back up, put together. Everything under the truck is tight. This be the moment of truth to see if I put it together right. There's no leaks, no nothing like that. Key is on. Seems to not be leaking anywhere. Let's go ahead and start the truck, see what happens. Okay, that's the best it's ever sounded. It started right up. I've got no leaks, no issues that I can see. So, overall, I'd probably rate that on like a 2 on a difficulty scale. This is super easy to install. Like I said, if you don't have a lift pump, it doesn't have to be Fass. There's other ones. But if you don't have a lift pump and you drive a diesel, especially a Duramax, because they don't come with one factory, you really need to get one. Overall, really easy install. I don't know how many hours it took me. It took me a couple hours. But I was also filming it, so it made it, a little bit longer. I mean, you can knock this out in an afternoon easily. So I hope this video helped you. Maybe if you got a Fass and wanted to see somebody install it. I don't know if I did any good explaining how I did it, but if you have any questions, you leave them in the comments. Just like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.